Hi everyone. So the title of this video may be a bit misleading. If you've clicked on it to see something being smashed to pieces or set alight, I'm afraid that's not going to happen. What I am after and what I do want from you, if you can, please, is to vote on whether this kit gets smashed to pieces or burned. Why? Because I built this kit and I'm not happy with it. So if you could leave a comment and just simply say smash or burn, that would be great. That'd be most helpful. You don't have to like and you don't have to subscribe. Don't do any of that rubbish, okay? But a comment will be much appreciated. So I will give the comments a week, then top them up, and then I will upload a video on or around the 13th of May showing the results of what people want to see. So for the non-model community out there, you can click off now. You don't want to watch the rest of this rubbish, okay? Now for my subscribers and my model community viewers, people who watch this, I will leave a time in one of these corners here where you can go straight to the build. You can cut out all the crap that I'm going to talk about next. And this is a model I started before I did the JU52. Started this, got bored of it straight away, put it to one side, and then ended up doing the JU52. Far more exciting and interesting. So you're probably asking yourself, well, why did you build it? Why did you choose a subject? 3 reasons. Firstly, Airfix are going to release this imminently. I think it's just around the corner. Secondly, I had it in my stash. And thirdly, here we go, I lived abroad a good part of my early life, and we communicated with family in the UK with airmail, and every now and then they would send us parcels with all sorts of goodies in it. And one of those parcels had this in the box, and even at the tender age of 7, I looked at it with great disdain. I was a very ungrateful child. I never built it, and I remember my father saying, "Are we going to build this?" And I remember saying, no, I just was not interested. I don't think he even built it at the end. But the other point is, I got this another 2 times over the years. So I don't know what happened to them. They probably went in the bin, like this one was going to, before I decided to either do a smash or burn video. Now I know I may offend some people by doing what I'm going to do, and I apologise for that. It's very childish. I have a couple more models that I'm not happy with. One's the Italian Jaguar and the other one's the Airfix Buccaneer. And it's not really anything to do with the kits. The Airfix Buccaneer is a good kit. The Italian Jaguar, okay, leaves a lot to be desired. The Basset, it's a kit of its age. Simple as that. But it's down to the modeler to make something of it. And I've seen some of these kits made and what you can do with them, and they are superb. You would not believe. So I'm still going to show you how I built this kit and what I did, and hopefully you may pick up a few tips, and hopefully you'll see the end results and see what you think. Once again, I want to thank you for watching, and I do hope to see you for the next video. And fingers crossed, whatever I build next will turn out a lot better than this kit did. See you later. So nice box artwork from Roy Cross once again. Take a quick look in the box, what we get. Very basic paint guide. I won't talk about the plastic parts, it's really self-explanatory. I'll let you decide what you think. Now the decals look unusable, but what I'm going to try and do is leave them on a window ledge in direct sunlight and see whether I can fade away some of that yellow tinge. First things first, I'm going to take all this surface detail off. It's far too much for a kit this small. And then I'm going to fill all the recess lines in with some sprue goo. Once again, I'm going to apply this in thin coats, let it set, and then if need be, I'll apply another coat. You apply this stuff in heavy coats, it will take ages to set, if at all. So I'm going to sand the surface detail off, but I was toying with the idea of re-riveting it all. But I think it may be a bit too much for a kit of this size. Personal choice. So I'm going to add the transparent parts to the side of the fuselage, but I want them to protrude a bit. So I'm just going to thin down these tabs around the edge. Also, I'll take some plastic off on the inside of the fuselage. Now luckily the transparencies are quite thick, so I've got quite a bit of plastic to play with. They stick out lovely, just what the doctor ordered. So I'm going to apply squadron putty around these transparent parts, but I do want to protect the surface because sometimes it can react. So I'm just going to use a bit of Tamiya tape. And once thoroughly dry, I'll take the tape off and I can start sanding. Now usually I would start off with a 400 grit, but because I've got transparent parts I'm going to start off with a 600 grit. It takes a bit more work initially, but it's worth it in the long run. Once that's done, I'm going to add a layer of paint and this will show me any imperfections along that surface. So with the paint thoroughly dry, I've gone back over with a 1200 grit. And as you can see, there's imperfections all over the place. So I'll deal with those and then I'm going to make a start on the wings. You can see I've had sprue glue and I've also closed the undercarriage doors and I've added the landing lights. I'm going to clip off the actuator fairings for ease of sanding. I shall add these back later on with plastic card. So I'm starting off here with a 400 grit and then I'll work up to a 600 grit. So I'm going to open a few things up here. I'm going to open up the exhaust. And then I want to open up that cowl intake. So I'll tidy up and finish off with some needle files. So to replace the hole and to hold the prop, I've added some plastic rod. The long bit of plastic rod is going to be for the shaft for the propeller, but it also is good as an aid to make sure I've got everything plumb. So I'm just widening the hole here on the prop just to attach the plastic rod. Next I want to make a start on the interior. Once again, very basic stuff here. Front console, floor plan, the yokes look quite nice. So I'm just going to spruce up the seats slightly, not that you're going to see much anyway, just with a bit of plastic card. So you can see I've altered the front glare shield here. I managed to find a head-on view of the front console, and then what I've done with the back of the actual printed copy, I've just used a bit of PVA glue, and then I shall attach the paper copy to the plastic part with some Tamiya clear. The PVA glue will stop the Tamiya clear from bleeding through and making everything run. So we get a couple of pilots supplied. I'm just going to paint one. So this is a selection of paints I'm going to use. Got Citadel, Vallejo and Tamiya. Tamiya Smoke for the visor. So the first thing I've done, besides clean up the pilot figure, is that I've painted him all black and I've painted his helmet white. Then the next thing I've done, I've just created a basic flesh tone and applied it to his face. And then next, using Vallejo paints, I've created a very light blue. With that thoroughly dry, using Vallejo paints again, I've created a darker blue, except this time it's a very thin wash. Hopefully this, when applied, will sit in all the recess areas. Then I've painted all the appendages: silver helmet, smoke visor, white gloves, black boots. With everything dry, I'm just going to pick up some highlights by dry brushing a very light blue. With everything dry, I wasn't too happy with the dark wash that I applied, so I applied another darker wash. So with all the interior bits finished now, I can start adding them. And I don't need to add any nose weight because it's not going to be on its landing gear. So I'm going to add the front console first. Not the most secure of fits. So I've just added some plastic rod just to make sure it's held in place. The last thing I want is this coming loose inside. Now the fuselage hasp wouldn't quite close properly, and I found that if I chamfered some of the actual cabin floor, it fitted beautifully. Next, the front windscreen, just a bit of fettling around on the top there. Other than that, not a bad fit. So once again, like I did with the side windows, I've Tamiya taped up the front windscreen. This is just to make sure I don't get any reaction with the squadron putty on the transparent part. Sometimes you can, sometimes you're okay. I'm just playing safe here. There was also a strange big hole at the bottom here. I just filled it up with some plastic rod. So now that I've sanded everything with about 400 grit, 600 grit, once again I'm going to apply a layer of paint just to spot for any imperfections. You could airbrush this, but I just find it quicker just to apply it by brush. So now that the paint's thoroughly dry, I'm going to start off with a 600 grit. Once again, there will be slight imperfections here and there that I'll need to address. So once I'm happy with that, I shall rinse the surface clean, and then I shall use these sanding pads. I shall start off with a 4000 grit, then a 6000 grit, and then I'll finish off with a 12,000 polishing pad. Each time I'm changing the grit, I'm washing the surface. I don't want any contaminants left over the surface. With the surface thoroughly cleaned and thoroughly dried, I'm going to apply some Johnson's Pledge. One coat should do. So before I add the wings to the fuselage, I'm just going to use some Tamiya tape to transpose the actual shape of the rudders, flaps, ailerons, whatever it is, shape-wise on the surface. Once I'm happy I've got my shape, I shall peel these back off, and these will be used later on down the line as a template. So now for the decals. I've had these sat under a windowsill for about 3 or 4 weeks, and it seems to have done the trick. They look fairly clear now, but I'm not too sure what kind of reaction I'm going to get when I add water. Could be all a waste of time. So I'm going to use this stuff and give it one coat by brush. Now I've had this stuff for some time, and as you can see, the top lid is cracked, so it is a bit gloopy. Whether it comes like that, I don't know. So I'm making a start on masking off the transparent parts. And then I'm going to give all these assemblies a coat of grey paint just to spot for any more imperfections on the surface. Once I'm happy with that, I shall assemble the wings and the rear tailplanes. One little trick I use every now and then, not all the time, just to check my alignment, is the reflection in a mirror. It's surprising what you can see through the reflection. I picked this up from a great artist called David Shepherd. He paints boats and trains. He's famous for his elephants. Now, it's a great little trick. So I'm going to apply an overall light grey just to blend everything in. Once that's dry, I'm going to apply a matte white. So I'm just masking off the demarcation for the lower bluey grey colour. Although actually on the kit instructions it says it should be silver. I don't know. I'm going to go with the bluey grey colour because that's what I'm used to seeing. And I'm toying with the idea of actually painting the blue flash. The actual decal one looks quite chunky, whereas looking at a picture I found in one of the magazines, it looks quite dainty. I don't know yet, I may still use a decal. So I'm going to apply the lightish grey, this sort of colour. So I've used these colours to create a medium to light grey with just a hint of blue. Next I want to create a demarcation with the rudders, flaps, whatever they are, the ailerons on the wing and the tails. So using the mask that I created earlier as a guide, I can mask off the edge and then peel them off. Then I'm going to use this colour, thin down, just to help give indication that we've got rudders, flaps, ailerons. So I'm just going to peel a bit of the masking back just to see how hard that demarcation is. If I do go overboard and it's too dark, I can always blend it in using the base colour. Next I've masked off all the de-icing boots, and while I was at it I decided that I would have a go at adding the blue flash from the decal sheet. But I just wanted to double check that it would fit where I'd put the demarcation from the two colours above and below. So I took a copy of the decal sheet, I've cut the flash out and I'm just using it, placing it along the demarcation, just making sure I've got no white or blue showing through on the other sides. So everything's demasked, a few touch-ups, and then I've sealed everything in with a gloss varnish. So I'm going to start with the blue flash first. If anything's going to give me any issues, it's going to be this. So I've trimmed it to shape. So to help this out, I've weighed the decal down either end, and then I've applied water so that I'm not going to get it curling up. Leave it for a minute or so, and then gingerly take it off and apply it to the surface, and hopefully everything goes well. So that flash went down reasonably well. I haven't used any decal solution, and as you can see the blue flash doesn't go all the way to the end at the rear there, but it doesn't need to in my opinion. So I'm going to let it go off and then I'm going to trim it where the serial number is, around there. One thing I noticed that didn't seem to appear on the actual flash, on the smaller decals, you can see where there's excess carrier film, maybe from the stuff that I applied. Now it's no biggie, just place it back down and gently with a brush and some water it will wipe away. It made me think at this stage that applying that stuff to the decal sheet might have been a waste of time, but I didn't want to take that chance. Looking at some photographs, I saw the props were painted in this scheme. I thought it looked quite interesting and might help spruce the actual kit up. So I've just got the ancillary parts to add, not a lot here. The anti-collision light I've nicked from a Tornado kit, and I created an extra antennae out of plastic card for the rear there. So all I've got to do is add these and the stand and the props and we're done. So there we go. I've put a lot of effort in this kit and I can't see where that's gone because I don't know. There's just something about it I don't like. I've never have liked it, it seems. So I may take some photographs of this, I may not, I don't know yet. So I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope to see you for the next one.